One of the biggest fights in the working world today, hustle culture. Is it the only way to get ahead, or is it just a toxic trap? The whole thing kicks off with two statements that are, well, worlds apart.
So the first shot is fired with this sharp accusation. The whole idea that the grind and all that, it's just a slick, cool new way to package feeling completely and totally fried.
But the comeback, it's just as quick, just as blunt. The argument is, no, this isn't about burnout at all. It's about taking responsibility. It's about getting the work done, period. No complaining.
Which leads to a pretty fair question, right? If this is all so great, then why do we keep seeing people just crumble under the weight of it all?
And boom, there's the counterpunch. The problem isn't the hustle itself. The problem is a world that's gotten too comfortable, too soft to handle the heat you need to actually achieve something big. And just like that, the lines are drawn.
All right, let's really get into these two clashing views. They're both talking about the same thing, work, but they're coming at it from completely different planets when it comes to what success and life is all about.
Okay, so the critics kick things off by saying hustle culture is just a system that makes exploitation seem normal. It rewards just working yourself to the bone, not actually working smart. But the defense, they flip that completely. They say no, it normalizes accountability, it rewards consistency, not just showing up and expecting a trophy.
And the argument goes even deeper. One side is saying hustle culture literally glorifies suffering. It makes a hero out of being in pain. The other side sees it as a filter. It's a test of commitment that weeds out the people who don't really want it. So is it a clever way to ignore the huge systemic problems in our society, or is it about pushing your own personal limits to see what you're made of?
And this brings us to the real heart of it. What's the end game here? What does all this grinding actually get you? Does it really deliver on that big promise of success, or is it just a survival tactic with some really good marketing?
Now this is where it gets super interesting, the clash over the actual results. The critics are brutal. They say hustle culture doesn't create success, it just sells the dream of it. But the other side argues that's completely missing the point. The goal was never to make sure everyone succeeds. It's to create separation, to separate the people who show up and do the work from those who just complain about it.
So what does this all really boil down to? Are we being sold a false choice here? Is life really as simple as picking between comfort and then just dealing with the consequences?
And this lays out the trade-off perfectly. One side says, look, people want to live with dignity. They don't want to destroy their minds and bodies to get it. But the other side fires right back that comfort isn't free. And sure, burnout is a real risk, but you know what else is a risk? Mediocrity. Because burnout might land you in a hospital, but mediocrity, that just traps you for life.
You can also see this fight playing out over time. Is hustle culture just a short-term obsession, something that guarantees you'll eventually quit from pure exhaustion? Or is it the very definition of delayed gratification, making a sacrifice now so you can have something sustainable later? The real fight is over this. Is strategy without the effort just a daydream? Or is effort without a strategy just making a lot of noise?
You know, all of this really points to the giant contradiction at the heart of the whole debate. There's this massive gap between what we say we believe about work and how we actually behave.
I mean, think about it. We say out loud that hustle is toxic, but then we secretly admire the people who make it big by doing it. We preach about work-life balance, but we're still chasing those high-pressure, high-paying jobs. We'll go online and condemn grind culture, and then go home and binge-watch productivity videos. We all say we want freedom, but are any of us really ready to pay the price for it?
And just when it seems like these two sides are never, ever going to agree, the argument takes this really fascinating turn. The person defending the grind, they admit something, an admission that kind of changes the whole feel of the debate. And there it is, the one rare moment where everyone agrees. Both sides see the danger. They see what happens when your work stops being what you do and starts being who you are. Because when that happens, any failure, no matter how small, becomes this deep, personal source of shame.
So, of course, that leads to the most logical question in the world. If you admit the system has a dark side, that it can break people, then why on earth would you keep defending it?
And there's the defense, laid bare. It's practical. It's almost cold. It's the core belief that without pressure, from the outside, from yourself, from wherever, nothing changes. Nothing moves forward. There's just stagnation.
So after hearing all the arguments, we're not going to wrap this up with a nice, neat little bow. That's not the point. The point is to leave you with the really uncomfortable questions that this whole debate forces every single one of us to face.
First off, if this level of grind really is the price of admission for success, then why are so many people not just tired, but completely, soul-crushingly exhausted? What's the real human cost of this so-called necessity?
But then you've got to look at the flip side. If hustle culture is so clearly bad for us, so toxic, then why does quitting, why does stepping off that hamster wheel feel so much like you're failing? Why does it feel like you're losing?
And now, a question for you, personally. Think about how you work. Is what you're doing driven by discipline, a real choice to build something, or is it maybe desperation, a fear of what might happen if you stop? Are you really grinding because you want to, or is it because the idea of slowing down is just plain terrifying?
All of this really comes down to one last critical question. A question about who really holds the power. Just imagine it for a second. If you decided to stop hustling right now,
Who actually wins from that decision? Is it you, taking back your time, your health, your life? Or is it the system, which now has an empty spot it can fill with someone else who's willing to play the game? That's the question we're leaving you with.
All right, everyone, thanks again for joining us on the Duo Dialogues, and stay tuned for more deep dives coming soon.
See you next time.